What has a freight train got to do with a bull moose, you ask? Funny you should ask. Well, nothing much, I guess, except in the fall, during the rut. That's when everything with any brains that can make a sound or move gives the bull moose a wide berth. 'Cause the moose is on a mission, and as far as he's concerned, anything but a cow moose is the enemy, and he ain't afraid of nothing. He might be dumb, but he ain't afraid, and that's a fact. The only thing bigger and dumber than a bull moose in fall is a freight train. Fire horse is what Winnetou would call it. It just charges along and don't pay no mind to nothing, neither. I've heard tell of a bull moose derailing as many as 3 boxcars in a single charge. Killed himself in the process, of course, but he didn't care. The freight train was in no shape to move in on his cows after that either, so he done his duty. The only reason I'm telling you this is so's you'll know what bull mooses are like during the rut, in case you didn't know already. Well, I was talking about Wisakadjak, wasn't I? Come to think of it, Wisakadjak has a thing or two in common with bull mooses. For one, he only has one thing on his mind, though it's not the same thing as what the moose is thinking about. Nah, he's thinking about food. Well, not so much food itself, but how to talk or trick somebody into giving him some. And, like the bull moose, he's single-minded about it, too. There ain't no better or tastier meal than one that somebody else has prepared, and he's able somehow to get it away from him. You'd think that if he only spent a splinter of the time on actual hunting and fishing that he did on figuring out how to trick somebody out of his meal, Wisakadjak would never go hungry in a million years. But no, he wouldn't stoop to doing his own hunting unless it was a real emergency. As usual, Wisakadjak was hungry. Very hungry, in fact. As usual, nobody was around from whom he could get a free meal. You'd have thought, it being fall and everything, there'd be lots of critters around gathering up food for the winter, but no such luck. Not a soul was to be found. It was starting to look like he'd have to do his own hunting. He tried very hard not to think about that, but his stomach wouldn't shut up until he finally went and got his bow and supply of arrows. Not just any bow and arrows, but the big ones. If he was going to have to hunt for himself, he figured on getting some sizable game. At least it would last him for some time, so he wouldn't have to think about it again for a while. Well, this was an emergency. All things considered, it was a fine day for hunting. The sun was warm, sending golden streamers onto the colored autumn leaves and downright glinting on the green needles of the spruce forest. A body could almost enjoy hunting. Made you sort of forget about the rest of the world. That's more or less what Wisakadjak done. He had almost stopped muttering to himself when he came upon a beautiful clear lake at whose shores a thin band of shrubbery grew as a perfect cover. He crept up to the shore to have a peek through the bushes. Wisakadjak's eyes popped wide open at what he saw. Out in the middle of the lake was a big, beautiful, fat cow moose, having her morning beauty bath, getting herself all prissied up in case she met somebody. What luck! Now, if she'd only come closer to shore, she'd meet somebody all right. Wisakadjak's mouth was starting to water already. Now you got to take a minute to visualize this picture to understand just what is going to happen next. On the one side, the lake side that is, you got a big nose sticking out between the shrubbery, staring straight at the cow moose. The shrubbery hung on either side of it. Looks just like a bull moose's head. On the other side, the spruce forest side that is, you got a big bare bum sticking out between the shrubbery, looking for all intents and purposes like a bull moose's face. The leaves of the bushes make a perfect set of antlers wrapped around that bum. And if you're a real bull moose who just happens to be strolling in the spruce forest looking for a cow moose you can already get a whiff of but just can't see during the rut season, well, what would you think if you saw something like that? Wisakadjak could see the cow, and he sure wanted her to come closer so he wouldn't have to jump in the lake to drag her out after he'd shot her. That'd be too much work. No, he'd have to get her attention somehow. So he hollered his very best moose call at her, just at the very same time that the old bull moose was passing right behind where Wisakadjak was hiding. All the moose could see through his beady little eyes was what looked to be a strange-looking critter staring right at him. That was where the noise had come from. Might be another bull moose. Well, it played out like a giant outdoor ballet. The cow heard that sexy, irresistible call and started to swim to shore. Wisakadjak saw her coming and armed his mighty bow for the kill. The bull moose finally spotted the bare bum in the bushes and lowered his antlers. A loud crack of thunder echoed through the spruce forest as a nasty pair of antlers connected dead on with a big bare bum. Wisakadjak shot through the air, skipping along the lake water like a thrown pebble until he landed head first into a hollow log on the other side of the lake. The moose, both cow and bull, didn't even seem to notice. They wasn't thinking about food. They just strolled off down Lover's Lane and did what mooses do in the rut.